Okay, so from a bhakti point of view, the Vasudeva Kutumbakam is Ishavasya Midam Sarvam, or Bhagwan is present everywhere and everything. Kan kan mein Bhagwan hai. Bhakti Yoga. Gyan Yoga is the one consciousness appears as many. That is the Gyan Yoga point of view. The Karma Yoga point of view, serving the world without any ego. That is Karma Yoga point of view. To reach this state of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Mantra point of view, do more mantra sadhana, tantra sadhana, different kind of sadhanas that are there to awaken your internal power. And then that power is the universal power. That is Tantra point of view. You see, then you've got the different yogasanas and whatnot. So that is Ashtanga Yoga point of view that bring you to a connection with nature. Whichever way we get there, Vasudeva Kutumbakam we must have. That is a prerequisite to realization. Any of the, even as I was saying, within realization there are differences. Realization is not the same for everybody. Like we said, Shunyavastha, the Nirakara Brahma, the different abodes of God, it's a bahut kuch hai isme. So one is out of the cycle of birth and death, one is free, but there are different types of freedom. So in one of the scriptures called Gopalan Swami Nivato in Gujarati, he's written a whole section on what is called the differentiations of the muktas. When the liberated souls are also living at different stages. So ये बहुत आगे की बात है. With some other time maybe go into that. We need 1 month to talk about just that subject. It's like that's how interesting that is. But before any of that happens, this Vasudeva Kutumbakam is a massive truth. And without that truth, we cannot be liberated in any way. Anybody who is not resonating with this idea is not liberated. Doesn't make any difference what tradition, what religion, what belief. That makes no difference. The fact is that we are rooted together all the time, in every way. And we are interdependent, interconnected, or even expressions of the one being expressing as many. That's another way to also look at it from an Advaitic point of view. I just want to be clear, I'm not advocating any one point versus another. One can go in any which way they want. I'm just trying to present what the different acharyas and teachers have taught. Based on one's proclivity and inclination, one can proceed that way. Some people have a more proclivity towards karma. They should start with that. Some people are more emotional natures. Bhakti is good for them. Some people are much more intellectual. Gyan is good for them. And even Vivekananda Swami has talked about it that way. All right. Now again, with this particular verse, Brahmanandam Paramusukadam Kevalam Gyanamurtim Dvandatitam Gagana Sadrusham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalavachanam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Triguna Rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Again, we will look we have already looked at this word. See the word Gyanamurti, how they are connected together. In this Murti, the easiest thing to understand about that the manifested form that we are manifesting Jnana. So when we're manifesting jnana, then there cannot be any of these doshas, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, matsar. Ye to ho hi nahi sakte. These cannot be there, number one. The other thing that is in jnana, that the presence of the one is everywhere. God is everywhere, the one way to look at it. Or everything is within the one consciousness. Another way to look at it. And the Advaitic point of view would be that the one consciousness is appearing as many. So all of those things are part of Jnana Murti. Alright, so that's enough on that point for today. And again, the four ideas combined together, Gyan, Vairagya, Dharma and Bhakti, when you pull them together, you have a fantastic mixture that is a recipe. It's like a cookbook, that when you pull these four ingredients together, what is the product created? You are a living Jivan Mukta. You are an enlightened being, no longer stuck within any limitation of the sansar, but not discarding the sansar, looking at the sansar for what it is with eyes of compassion and grace, and moving in the sansar for the benefit of the sansar. Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha, Srimad Bhagavad Gita chapter 12. That is also expressed, and we'll talk about that some other time. But that is a recipe. So it is a recipe for extraordinary enlightenment, Dharma, Jnana, Vairagya, with that foundation, Bhakti. In my opinion, and you can have your own opinion, of course, in perspective, please, that is, Bhakti is absolutely essential, irrespective of what yoga anybody does. Without Bhakti, without the feeling that there is God, the human ego always will grab hold of the effect of any sadhana. The result of any sadhana, you start reading scriptures and being aware of them, but there's no bhakti in the heart, then the ego gets hold of that. So इसमें भक्ति का बहुत महिमा है. That should never ever be lost or diminished. That is clear in my mind at least. But you also think about that, because I've met individuals who could care less about bhakti. They're more interested in gyan and karma and yoga and all their things like that. They have nothing to do with God. In fact, they think they're God. While the ego is thinking it is God. That is not God. Ego, aham brahmasmi, doesn't mean that my ego is God. That's a misunderstanding. And if that misunderstanding happens, then one is caught inside the illusion of realization. It looks like realization, but it's not. It's the ego that is masquerading as a realized being. It's बहुत tricky बात है ये. And it is a very terrible thing. That's why bhakti prevents that from happening. All right. And on that basis, we want to open up pure joy. One of the key things to keep in mind in this diagram, ever new state, the newness of life. हमारा जो जीवन है, इसमें कुछ ना कुछ अलग experiences we want. That's good, because that takes us towards ananda. Otherwise we get saturated. It's all dull. Satsang is also saturating. These temples are the same. Kya same ritual aate, same holidays are coming, same thing, repetition, same family is there, the same job is there. I hate this job and I hate this. All the whole cycle is repeating. There's a sense of almost hating the repetition at some point, disliking it. So to prevent that from happening, masterfully change the mind. Masterfully play with the mind and make it move in different directions. You see, because you're the master of the mind. If you don't make it move in different directions, it will get saturated. And once it gets saturated, then that's where all the trouble begins. Then people go into other things like alcohol and gambling and addictions, and they want to try something to get out of that saturation. You see, so that's what that's about there. All right, now, moving ahead, let's go into the Ashtottara Namavali of Bhagwan Shiv, and then we'll continue our sadhana.